The Velare had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had conquered 200 worlds. They had crushed every species that stood against them. When they found Earth, they laughed. High Commander Oryx sat in his command chair and watched the blue planet spin slowly on his screen. His advisors told him about the creatures living there. Soft bodies, short lives, primitive technology. They called themselves humans. Another weak species, Oryx said. Send them the message. Submit or die. But he did not wait for an answer. The Velari never waited. Waiting was for the weak. 3 massive warships jumped into orbit above New Busan, humanity's largest colony. 4 million people lived there. Families, children, workers, building a future among the stars. They looked up at the sky and saw death coming down. The plasma bombs fell like rain, Captain. Taiho was not on New Busan that day. He was commanding a patrol ship 3 systems away when the message came. He stood very still as he watched the footage. Buildings burning, people running, bodies falling. The screams seemed to go on forever. His wife was on New Busan, his daughter too. Mina was 7 years old. She had just learned to ride a bicycle. She was afraid of the dark. So Taiho had bought her a small light shaped like a star. Now she was gone, burned to ash along with 4 million others. Taiho did not cry. He did not scream. He simply turned off the screen and walked to the bridge. His crew looked at him with fear in their eyes. They had never seen a man look so empty. Set course for Earth, he said. His voice was flat and cold like stone. On Earth, the news spread fast. Every screen showed the same images. Every speaker carried the same screams. And then came the Velari message, broadcast across every human frequency. You are now subjects of the Velari Dominion. Your colony was destroyed as a lesson. Submit now, and we will spare the rest of your species. Resist, and we will erase you from existence. In an underground bunker, Dr. Hannah watched the footage on a small screen. She was a scientist. She studied biology and chemistry. She had spent her life trying to heal people and understand how bodies worked. Now she watched children burn. Something changed in her mind. Something dark and cold took root in her heart. She turned away from the screen and opened a file on her computer. It was labeled Project Apex. For years, she had studied what made humans different from other species. Their strength, their endurance, their strange and deadly biology. She'd never thought to use this knowledge as a weapon. Now she began to work. Lieutenant Yuna received the news aboard her ship. She was a tactical officer, trained in combat and strategy. She had fought pirates and rebels. She had never lost a battle. When she heard about New Busan, she did not cry. She smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator that had finally found its prey. Her crew stepped back from her, afraid of what they saw in her eyes. I have no idea what they just did, she said softly. No idea at all. On a training base on Mars, a young private named Jiho sat alone in his room. His sister had lived on New Busan. She was 20 years old. She had just started her first job. She used to send him funny messages every day. Now, his phone was silent forever. Jiho was 18. He was just a boy, really. But as he sat in the darkness, he felt something hard and sharp growing inside him. He made a promise to himself. He would make them pay. Every single one of them. The United Human Council met 3 days after the attack. Leaders from every nation and colony gathered in a great hall on Earth. They argued and shouted and cried. Some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to run and hide. Then Captain Taiho walked into the hall. Everyone went silent. They knew who he was. They knew what he had lost. He walked to the center of the room and stood there, looking at each of them in turn. They think we are weak, he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried to every corner of the room. They think we will beg for mercy. They think we are like every other species they have conquered. He paused. His eyes were dark and empty. They are wrong. Took a deep breath. Humans are not like other species. We come from a death world. Our planet tried to kill us every day, and we survived. We hunted animals 10 times our size. We crossed oceans and deserts and mountains. We built cities and machines and weapons. We are not prey. We are predators. The room was completely silent. They killed 4 million of our people, Taiho continued. They killed our children. They burned them alive and laughed about it. They think this will make us afraid. He shook his head slowly. They just woke up the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And now we are going to teach them what fear really means. He looked around the room one last time. They want monsters. Let's show them what monsters look like. Nobody argued. Nobody spoke against him. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would not hide. Humanity would go to war, and the galaxy would never be the same again. 6 months passed after the attack on New Busan. The Valari waited for the humans to surrender. Every other species had given up within days. But the humans sent no diplomats. They sent no messages. They sent nothing at all. High Commander Oryx grew confused. He called his advisors to explain. They are building weapons, one said. Perhaps they are hiding, said. Another, perhaps they have already died from grief, laughed A. Third, but Scholar Ven did not laugh. He had spent years studying alien species. He had read everything about humans, and what he found made him afraid. High Commander, Ven said carefully, I must warn you about these creatures. Oryx waved his hand. They are primitives. What is there to fear? Ven took a deep breath. Humans evolved on what they call a death world. Their planet has earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, floods, and thousands of deadly animals. They should have died long ago. Instead, they became the apex predator. Oryx asked, slightly interested now. They are persistence predators, Ven explained. Other predators are fast but tire quickly. Humans are slow but never stop. They would chase an animal for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then they would kill it. Oryx laughed. So they can run for a long time. This does not impress me. Hey, there's more, Ven said. His voice was serious. Humans do not forget. They hold grudges for generations. They wage war not for resources or territory, but for revenge. And they invented something no other species has ever created. What? Total war. The complete destruction of an enemy. Not just soldiers, but cities, factories, farms, everything. They burn it all until nothing remains. The council laughed. Only Ven stayed silent. He knew the truth. The humans were not hiding because they were afraid. They were hiding because they were preparing, and he was right. On Earth, Sergeant Wu Jin led a secret team of soldiers. They called themselves the Black Hunters. Their job was simple. Find Valari outposts. Capture prisoners. Learn everything. Wu Jin was a hard man. He had grown up in a poor neighborhood. He had learned to fight before he learned to read. The military had given him purpose. Now the Valari had given him a target. His team hit a small Valari outpost near the border. They killed 20 soldiers in 30 seconds. Then they took 3 prisoners alive. 4 weeks Wu Jin questioned them. He learned their language. He studied their bodies. He found their weaknesses. They cannot handle pain like we can, he reported to Captain Taiho. A wound that would slow us down kills them from shock. Their hearts are weak. Their skin is thin. And there is something else. Taiho leaned forward. Tell me. Wu Jin smiled. It was not a nice smile. Caffeine is poison to them. So is capsaicin. The stuff we put in coffee and hot peppers, it destroys their nervous systems. And adrenaline, the thing our bodies make when we fight or get scared, it is deadly toxic to them. Taiho understood immediately. We are poisonous to them. Yes, sir. One touch of human sweat, one breath near a scared human, it could kill them. In her bunker, Dr. Hannah worked day and night. She had not slept properly in months. Her eyes were red. Her hands shook from too much coffee. But she did not stop. She had learned what Wu Jin learned, and she had turned it into weapons. I call it the breath of death, she told Taiho during a video call. She held up a small container. It uses human hormones as a delivery system. Adrenaline, cortisol, even endorphins, all natural chemicals from our bodies, all deadly to the Valari. How does it spread? Taiho asked. Touch, air, water, any human can become a weapon. Just by being near them, we can kill them. Taiho nodded slowly. Good, make more. Hannah paused. Sir, this will kill civilians too, not just soldiers. Taiho's face was like stone. They killed our civilians. Children, babies. They burned them alive. He stared at her through the screen. Make more. Hannah closed her eyes for a moment. Then she nodded. Yes, sir. On Mars, Private Jiho trained harder than anyone. He woke up before sunrise. He ran until his legs gave out. He practiced fighting until his knuckles bled. Then he did it all again. The other soldiers watched him with respect and fear. He never smiled. He never laughed. He never talked about anything except the war. One day, another soldier asked him why he pushed himself so hard. Jiho stopped training. He looked at the soldier with empty eyes. They killed my sister, he said. She was 20 years old. She never hurt anyone. They burned her alive for fun. He picked up his weapon and went back to training. I am going to kill their empire. Every single piece of it, and I will not stop until there is nothing left. Lieutenant Yuna worked on battle plans. She studied every record of Valari warfare. She learned how they fought, how they thought, how they won. Then she designed something they had never faced, guerrilla warfare, she told the other officers. We do not fight them directly. We hit them and disappear. We destroy their supplies. We attack their minds. We make them afraid of every shadow. That is not honorable, one officer said. Yuna looked at him coldly. Honor died on New Busan. Now there is only victory. Finally, the day came. The human fleet was ready. 1,000 ships. 2 million soldiers. Weapons that would turn human biology into death itself. Captain Taiho stood on the bridge of his flagship. He looked at the stars through the window. Somewhere out there, the Valari waited. They still thought they had one. Open a channel, Taiho said. Broadcast to all human forces. The communication officer nodded. Channel open, sir? Taiho spoke slowly and clearly. This is Captain Taiho. Today we stop hiding. Today, we start hunting. The Valari believe they are the rulers of the galaxy. They believe they are predators and we are prey. He paused. Today we teach them the truth. We are the apex predators. We are the monsters from a death world, and we are coming for them. The fleet began to move. The hunt had begun. The Valari expected a normal war. They expected fleets to meet in space. They expected ground forces to capture planets. They expected negotiations and surrender. They got none of these things. Lieutenant Yuna led the first attack. Her target was a Valari supply station at the edge of their space. 200 soldiers. Thousands of tons of food and weapons. She did not try to capture it. She did not try to hold it. She simply destroyed everything. Her ships appeared from nowhere. They fired for 3 minutes. Then they disappeared into the darkness of space. The Valari commander sent a confused message to High Command. They attacked and ran away. They did not take anything. They just destroyed it all. What kind of war is this? It was the first of many such messages. Human strike teams hit targets across Valari space. Supply lines. Communication stations. Small outposts. They attacked in the night and vanished before morning. They left no survivors. They left only ruins. General Mako, the Valari's best military leader, studied the human attacks. He could not understand them. This makes no sense, he told his officers. They waste resources attacking small targets. They could strike at our main fleet, but they choose supply stations instead. An aide offered an explanation. Perhaps they are cowards, too afraid to face us directly. Mako shook his head slowly. No, there is a strategy here. I just cannot see it yet. Yes. He was right. Yuna's plan was simple, but deadly. Without supplies, the Valari fleet would starve. Without communication, Their commanders could not coordinate. Piece by piece, she was tearing apart their ability to fight. But the humans had more than clever tactics. They had something far worse. Sergeant Wujin led the first ground assault on a Valari colony world. His soldiers landed in the night. They moved through the darkness like ghosts. The Valari guards never saw them coming. The fighting was brutal but short. Wujin's soldiers took down 20 Valari in the first minute. But then something strange happened. Wujin took a plasma shot through his shoulder. The blast went clean through, burning muscle and bone. Any Valari would have collapsed from the pain. Any Valari would have died from shock. Wujin kept fighting. For 3 more hours, he led his men through the base. His arm hung useless at his side. Blood ran down his armor, but he did not stop. He could not stop. Something inside him, something ancient and primal, refused to let him fall. When the fight was over, a Valari medic examined the captured base's records. He found footage of Wujin fighting with his wound. The medic watched it again and again. His hands trembled. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No creature can do this." He wrote a report that would terrify the Valari High Council. Humans have an organ that releases powerful stimulants when they are injured. Their bodies flood with chemicals that increase strength and reduce pain. They become more dangerous when wounded. Fighting them only makes them stronger. The report spread through the Valari military. Soldiers began to hesitate. For the first time in 10,000 years, the conquerors of the galaxy felt fear. Captain Taiho read the reports from the front lines with satisfaction, but he was not finished. He called his officers together and gave them new orders. "I am starting the burning road," he said. "We will destroy every Valari farming world between Earth and their home planet. Every field, every farm, every food storage facility. All of it burns." One officer spoke up. "Sir, those are civilian targets." Taiho looked at him with cold eyes. New Busan was a civilian target. 4 million of our people died because we were weak. I will not be weak again. The officer fell silent. The burning road began. Dozens of Valari worlds saw human ships appear in their skies. The ships did not land soldiers. They did not demand surrender. They simply released Dr. Hannah's weapons and flew away. The breath of death worked perfectly. Valari farmers fell sick within hours. Their bodies could not handle the human hormones. They died in agony, their nervous systems destroyed by chemicals that humans produce naturally. On the Valari homeworld, Scholar Ven finally got his meeting with High Commander Oryx. The commander looked tired and worried. Reports of defeat came in every day. "I warned you," Ven said. "These creatures are not like us. They come from a death world. They evolved to survive anything. Then how do we stop them?" Oryx demanded. Ven shook his head slowly. "I do not know if we can. You need to understand what we are facing. Humans did not become the dominant species on their planet by being peaceful. They killed everything that threatened them. Hundreds of species went extinct because of them. They call it progress." He leaned forward. "We are not fighting a species. We are fighting apex predators. And we have done the worst thing possible. We have given them a reason to hate us." Private Jiho, now promoted for his bravery, led a squad onto a conquered Valari world. The fighting had ended days ago. Now the humans were taking control. Jiho walked through the ruined streets. Valari civilians watched him from windows. They expected death. They had heard what humans did, but Jiho ignored them. He was looking for something. He found it at the top of the highest building, a flagpole where the Valari flag had once flown. He tore down the alien flag and threw it aside. Then he raised a new flag. It was blue and green, like Earth seen from space. Around the image of the planet, words were written in white. "You should have left us alone." Jiho stood there for a long time, looking at the flag. Somewhere in the distance, a Valari child was crying. He did not care. He could not care. Not anymore. The war was only half finished. And the humans would not stop until every Valari understood the truth. They had started this war, and humanity would end it, no matter the cost. 2 years had passed since the war began. The Valari Dominion, Rulers of 200 worlds for 10,000 years, breaking apart. Every day brought new reports of defeat. Human ships appeared without warning, destroyed everything, and vanished. Valari soldiers refused to fight. They had heard the stories. They had seen what happened to those who faced humans in battle. High Commander Oryx sat alone in his command room. He had lost weight. His eyes were tired. He had not slept properly in months. Around him, screens showed maps of his dying empire. Red marks showed human advances. There were so many red marks now. How did this happen? He whispered to himself, "We have ruled the galaxy for ages. We have crushed hundreds of species. How can these primitives be defeating us?" He did not understand. He could never understand. The Valari had conquered species that surrendered. They had never faced a species that wanted revenge. General Mako came to him with one final plan.
The attackers,
Mako said. Their home world. If we destroy it, they will have to surrender. They fight so hard because of their home. Take it away, and they will break. Oryx thought about this. It was a desperate plan. But desperate times called for desperate action. Do it, he ordered. The largest Valari fleet in history gathered together. 500 warships. The best soldiers. The most powerful weapons. They jumped toward Sol System, where Earth waited. Captain Taiho had expected this attack. He had waited for it. He had planned for it. When the Valari fleet appeared near Earth, they found nothing. No defense ships. No weapons platforms. No soldiers. Just empty space and a quiet blue planet. General Mako felt a cold fear growing in his stomach. This was too easy. Something was wrong. He was right. Human ships came out of hiding from every direction. They had been waiting behind planets, moons, and asteroids. Hundreds of them. The trap closed around the Valari fleet like a fist. The Battle of Sol lasted 11 hours. The Valari fought bravely. But humans fought like demons. They crashed damaged ships into enemy vessels. They flew impossible maneuvers. They refused to retreat even when their ships were breaking apart. When it was over, not a single Valari ship remained. General Mako died on his burning bridge. Finally understanding the truth about humans, Captain Taiho broadcast a message to the Valari homeworld. "You came to our home," he said, his voice flat and cold. "None of you will leave it. This is what happens when you attack humanity. Remember this lesson." Lieutenant Yuna did not wait for the fleet battle to end. She led ground forces against the Valari's greatest military academy. This was where they trained their best soldiers. This was the heart of their military power. Her soldiers hit the academy at night. The fighting was room to room, corridor to corridor. The Valari cadets were young and scared. Many tried to surrender. Yuna gave only one order. No survivors. They gave New Busan no survivors. When the sun rose, the academy was silent. Every building burned. Every flag was torn down. Yuna stood in the ashes and felt nothing. Not victory. Not satisfaction. Just empty darkness where her heart used to be. In her laboratory, Dr. Hannah watched footage from across the war. Her weapons had killed millions. Soldiers and civilians alike. The breath of death did not care who breathed it. On her screen, a Valari mother held a dying child. The child had done nothing wrong. The child had never attacked anyone. But the child was dying anyway, killed by human chemistry. Hannah turned off the screen. Her hands were shaking. She felt something crack inside her, like glass breaking in her chest. She thought about stopping. She thought about destroying her research. But then she remembered New Busan. She remembered the 4 million dead. She remembered the children that the Valari had burned. She went back to work. But something had changed. The fire of revenge now mixed with the cold ash of guilt. Private Jiho, now Sergeant Jiho, captured a Valari officer during a raid. The officer was old and tired. He did not try to fight. He just looked at Jiho with confusion. "Why?" the officer asked. "Why do you keep fighting? You have already won. We cannot stop you anymore. But still, you attack. Still, you destroy. Why?" Jiho looked at him for a long time. He thought about his sister. He thought about the messages she used to send him. He thought about her laugh, which he would never hear again. "We are not fighting to win," Jiho said. His voice was flat. "We are fighting until you understand what you did." The officer shook his head. "We understand. We were wrong. We should not have attacked your colony." "Understanding is not enough," Jiho replied. "You need to feel it. Every death, every scream, every child burned alive. You need to feel what we felt." Scholar Ven heard about the human advance. He knew the end was coming. He decided to try one last thing. He surrendered himself to human forces and asked to speak with their commander. After many days, he was brought before Captain Tejo. The human leader looked different from the reports. Older, harder. His eyes were empty of everything except cold purpose. "You want peace?" Tejo asked. "Yes," Ben said desperately. "We surrender. Completely. Unconditionally. We offer everything. Our technology, our territory, our wealth. Please, just stop the killing." Tejo was silent for a long moment. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, his daughter had died, burned alive by these creatures who now begged for mercy. 2 years ago, I would have accepted," he said finally. "I was a different man then. I believed in peace. I believed in mercy." He turned to look at Ven. His eyes were dark and empty. "Now, I do not think peace is what my people want anymore." Ven felt cold terror wash over him. "What do they want?" Tejo did not answer. He just turned back to the window. The human fleet continued to advance. The Valari homeworld grew closer every day, and nobody knew if humanity would stop when they got there. The human fleet surrounded the Valari homeworld. 1,000 ships formed a ring around the planet. On the surface below, billions of Valari waited for death. Captain Tejo stood on the bridge of his flagship. Through the window, he could see the planet, blue oceans, green forests, cities that sparkled in the sunlight. It looked almost like Earth. His finger hovered over the command console. One order, and the bombardment would begin. Dr. Hannah's weapons were ready. The fleet waited for his signal. This was the moment he had dreamed of for 2 years. Complete victory. Total revenge. So why did he hesitate? High Commander Oryx broadcast one final message. His voice was broken. All his pride was gone. "People of humanity," he said. "We were wrong. We see now what you are. You are not primitives. You are not weak. You are the most powerful species we have ever encountered. We beg you, please, show us that you are better than us. Show us that you can do what we could not. Show us mercy." The message ended. The bridge was silent. Lieutenant Yuna walked up to Tejo. She had fought beside him for 2 years. She had killed more Valari than she could count. She had become something hard and cold, like a weapon made of hate. But now she looked at the planet below, and she felt something strange. Doubt. "Sir," she said quietly, "we have already won. This would not be victory. This would be genocide." Tejo did not look at her. His eyes stayed fixed on the planet. "They killed my daughter. She was 7 years old. She was afraid of the dark, so I bought her a light shaped like a star. They burned her alive. They laughed about it." Yuna nodded slowly. "I know. I lost people too. Everyone has lost someone." She paused. "But if we do this, what are we? What do we become?" Tejo was silent. In another part of the ship, Sergeant Wujin stood before his soldiers. They were tired. They were scarred. They had fought for 2 years without stopping. Now they waited for the final order. Wujin looked at the planet on the screen. He thought about all the battles he had fought, all the Valari he had killed, all the blood on his hands. He thought about what they had done to New Busan. The rage was still there, burning in his chest, but he also thought about the Valari civilians on that planet, families, children, people who had never hurt anyone. "What are we doing?" he whispered to himself. Dr. Hannah walked onto the bridge. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red from crying. Her hands shook. She had spent 2 years making weapons. She had created death itself and put it in a bottle. She had watched her creations kill millions. Now she stood before Taiho, the man she had followed into darkness. "I destroyed it," she said. Taiho finally looked at her. "What?" "My research. The breath of death, the bioweapons. All of it. I destroyed everything." Tears ran down her face. "I will not let my legacy be extinction. I will not be remembered as the woman who killed a species." Taiho stared at her. "You had no right." "Maybe not," Hannah replied. "But I did it anyway." "We proved we could end them, Taiho. That is enough. That has to be enough." Deep in the ship's detention area, Sergeant Jiho visited Scholar Ven's cell. The alien looked up at him with exhausted eyes. "You studied us," Jiho said. "For years. You know more about humans than any other Valari. So tell me, what did you learn?" Ven was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "You are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. You adapt to anything. You endure any pain. You never forget a wrong done to you. You love with terrifying intensity." He paused. "And you hate the same way." Jiho nodded slowly. "That is true, but that is not everything. You missed one thing about us." "What?" Jiho sat down on the floor, looking at the alien through the bars. "We also forgive, eventually when we choose to." Ven looked at him with surprise. "After everything we did? After everything?" Jiho's voice was quiet. "My sister is dead. She will always be dead. Killing your entire species will not bring her back. It will not fill the empty place in my heart." He paused. "So what is the point?" On the bridge, Taiho stood alone at the window. The command console waited. The fleet waited. The galaxy waited. He thought about Mina, his daughter. Her laugh, her smile. The way she held his hand when she was scared. He thought about what she would say if she could see him now. Would she be proud? Or would she be afraid of what her father had become? He closed his eyes. He remembered her voice. "Daddy, why are you crying?" "Because I miss you," he whispered. "Because I do not know how to stop hurting." He opened his eyes. Yuna was right. Hannah was right. Even Jiho was right. They had proven their point. The galaxy would never forget what humans could do. The Valari would carry this lesson for 1,000 years. But if they destroyed that planet, they would become exactly what the Valari had called them. Monsters, demons, beasts without mercy. Taiho pressed the communication button. "All ships, stand down. We accept unconditional surrender. The war is over." 50 years later, the galaxy told stories about humanity. They warned their children to never anger the humans. They spoke of the species from a death world who had humbled the greatest, the empire in known history. But they also told another story. The story of the day when humanity stood at the edge of darkness and chose to step back. Old Captain Taiho, tired now, stood before a memorial on New Busan. The colony had been rebuilt. Children played in parks where bodies had once burned. The memorial listed the names of everyone who had died. At the bottom, new words had been carved into the stone. We remembered. We avenged. We forgave. That is what makes us human. Scholar Ven, now an ambassador, stood beside him. They had become strange friends over the years. "Do you regret it?" Ven asked. "Sparing us?" Taiho thought about the question. He thought about it every day, he said. "Every single day, part of me regrets it." "Then why did you do it?" Taiho looked at the names on the memorial. Somewhere in that list was his wife. Somewhere was his daughter. "'Cause Mina would have wanted me to," he said. "Because revenge was not worth losing my soul. Because in the end, the ability to stop is what makes us more than just animals." He turned to look at the sunset. "We showed the galaxy we could destroy them. But we also showed them something more important. We showed them that we could choose not to." The sun set over New Busan, in the distance. Human and Valari children played together, too young to remember the war. And in that moment, Captain Taiho finally felt something he had not felt in 50 years. peace.